United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item up would be the approval of the agenda. Lord, I move that we approve the agenda as presented. Could I please have a second?
I second that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll move right along. We're now at public comments on agenda items. And we have nothing, so we will move to the major fund monitoring report. And I believe that would be the wonderful, talented Ms. Cooper.
Chop chop, she's happy.
We moved quick.
Good evening, board. Good to see you this evening. If you want to go to the Major Fund Monitoring Report, some of the things I want to kind of start pointing out to you, now that we're approaching May and June, you know that we should anticipate in our operations fund, which is the second column there, our property tax revenue collections. So you will start seeing this. This balance right here is as of April. You will see the balances will be going lower in operations because in June and December is when I do transfer funds also out of the education fund. So we are right on target. We still have a positive cash balance, which is the TAW that is standing in there to help you with that. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to address that. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item will be our treasurer's fund cash balance report. Once again,
Correct. As you can see, these are all the funds that we do manage throughout the district, but there's one that you had asked about previously. So as through April, you take a look at the food service fund. Natalie and her team has been working very hard on providing food services to our children through this COVID time, which has been challenging to say the least. And as you go through the year, you will notice that as she files her claims, those claims start coming in. They do that on a monthly basis, so you can see that last month when you so rightly asked about looking at the balance, which is now the beginning balance for April, you can see now that she has made a great stride in getting closer to zero. This is a residual fund that had been in the hole that we've been monitoring all the way through. So I suspect that in due time, as schools start returning to school on a regular basis, this will be something that her team will gladly handle and appreciate handling to get this fund to where it needs to be. We have, we will talk about the renewal later on surrounding food service at our, on my next item, but I will not be late to vote for.
perfect.
Any questions on that tonight? Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item would be the consent agenda. Or do I have a motion on this?
Mr. President, I move that we extend consent agenda as submitted.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Any questions, comments?
Literally the only one that did not second.
With your body language said you did.
I'm going with Mr. Paul.
But I usually take that part.
So I'm fine with it. Any questions, comments, concerns? You okay? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're gonna move right along to our gifts to buildings. Ms. Hutchinson, would you call us, please?
Absolutely. A little short this time, but we did just have a board meeting, it seems like yesterday. Chelsea and I did get from the Paxton Group BC, $300 for faculty staff appreciation lunch. It was teacher appreciation. And then Riverside box tops, which box tops aren't literal box tops anymore. They're virtual box tops. And don't forget last time, sign up at your Kroger card, take your little thing to the, and they'll put your school, whatever school you want, on your Kroger card, and your Kroger will donate. Do that. I move that we accept these donations in the amount of $308.60.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any comments, questions, concerns? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we shall move to the action items. The first item in that subgroup would be the resolution to accept the Clarksville Park and Recreation Board donation of playground equipment located at Hartwood Elementary School. And that would be, thank you very much.
Good morning, good afternoon, board. In 1995, and that's not a mistype, that is accurate. 1995, Greater Clark County Schools and the Clarksville Park and Rec Board entered into a lease allowing Clarksville Rec Board to use some property located around Parkwood Elementary for recreational uses. Fast forward to 2017, when Greater Clark and Jesse Blue had swapped some land, parcels of that land, and one of the parcels in the lease that Clarksville had, we swapped with Jesse Blue, so they no longer need that lease. Clarksville, in fact, terminated that lease recently, since we no longer own that parcel. And one of the issues that came up is there was playground equipment, still in good shape. In fact, the community uses that. And Clarksville's deemed that surplus and would like to donate that to us to remain on our property, the parcel that we do in fact still own at no cost. And we are recommending that the board approve that resolution to accept that surplus property from the Clarksville Park and Rec Board.
Board, do I have a motion on this resolution?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the resolution to accept Clarksville Park and Recreation School.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Questions, comments, concerns?
I think it's very nice of you to do that.
It is very kind of you to do that. Any other comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have our annual renewal of food service management company agreement 21-22 school year. Ms. Huber?
Thank you, Mr. President. As required by the Indiana Department of Education, School of Nutrition, the district must submit first the required documentation to amend the original contract. So if you recall, you selected Airmark to be your food service provider under a 5-year contract, and it is required by the DOE that you have to renew that each year. And Airmark's team is responsible for completing a lot of information as well as the district, and submit that to the DOE. So we received approval from the DOE on May 17th for the renewal for 21-22. They have reworked their budget to give us a guarantee of $492,000. So as you can see that, as we do continue to make strides in the revenue for feeding our students and getting reimbursed for those services, plus the guarantee, we will see success in this fund. So it is my strongest recommendation to the board to approve this renewal, also called an amendment to your food service provider contract.
Board, do I have a motion for the food service management company agreement for 21-22 school year?
Mr. President, I recommend that we, or move that we approve the annual renewal contract with Airmark for 2021-2022.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. A second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Fitzpatrick. Any questions, comments? Wonderful stories about what Airmark's done for us?
I heard they're French toast sticks.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah. You know, when it gets out there, it's out there.
Yeah.
You know, and then if you're waiting in line like Chick-fil-A. Yeah, that's awesome. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. The next item would be our elementary 21-22 athletic handbook. Dr. Hartley, I believe.
Good evening, board. Each year, the athletic handbook for the elementary schools is revised to reflect changes in the athletic programs and dates of events and so forth, as well as any changes in corporation policies and procedures. department, and we are submitting them to be approved.
Perfect. Board, do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the elementary 2021-22 athletic handbook.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Do we have any discussion? I'm all over this. Do we have any discussion, comments, concerns? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There we go. Next is the 21-22 athletic handbook for secondary.
Yes. And just as our elementary, the athletic handbooks for secondary schools are reviewed to reflect any changes in law and/or corporation policies and procedures. The secondary athletic directors have submitted revisions pertaining to their handbooks. The Office of Secondary Education reviewed them. Copies of each handbook and a summary of the revisions are attached for the board's review, consideration, and approval. And an updated copy of the student rights and responsibilities will also be added to each of these before they are published.
Oh, that's great. Board, do I have a motion for the secondary athletic handbook?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the secondary athletic handbooks for 21-22 school year as recommended by the superintendent.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. Any questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next, I think it's still Dr. Hartridge and recommend approval for the high school world language courses.
Yes, this is our last textbook adoption for this year. Attached, please find a recommendation for the world language textbooks that have been selected during the cycle. The textbooks will be utilized from 2021 through 2026, with the exception of German year 3 and 4, which will be approved for continued use. World language teachers reviewed potential publishers' offerings, and in the adoption process, each teacher was asked to select a first and second choice, and from there they determined a building winner. The textbook expenses for this adoption will be offset by the CARES Act 2 federal grant funding, and we do not anticipate any increases in rental fees. We'll be using a blended model with this adoption that allows for both classroom sets of hardback books to be purchased, while each student will receive an electronic access to the books.
Board, do I have a motion for the selection of world language textbooks?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the textbook selected for high school world language.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any questions or concerns, comments?
I have a question, Dr. Hartman.
Yes.
Do all three of our high schools use the same world language books?
They do use them.
Okay, okay. I just didn't know where that second paragraph, that each building determined the winner.
Well, for their building, and then we look at the district level.
Gotcha.
They look at several different
So if
groups.
I go to Jeff High and I'm taking second year Spanish, when I move to Charlestown, I'm still going to have the same textbook.
Correct.
Thank you.
Weird hypothetical, but if I'm taking a language that's offered at one high school and not the other, and I move, could I stay in that other class online?
That would be a question that I would have to look into further. I am not certain how we have done that in the past in the
Yeah.
secondary
I don't
schools.
either. I mean, because I know you can take them online through Play-Doh or whatever, but now that we are so good at
I'm not certain. If
Okay.
it's offered through Play-Doh, I would think that you could, but I just don't want to. give
Yeah,
an
it's
answer.
just like, you don't have to get back to her or anything, but like, just gonna put that. Because when she said, if you're taking second year, I was like, don't say anything but Spanish. She said Spanish, because I know that was offered at all of our schools. So, cool, thank you.
I'm not sure.
That's okay. More of a hypothetical. Like, what is?
All right, all those in favor of this
Quick question.
Okay, sorry.
One
plus 9 says the textbook expenses will be offset by the CARES Act, federal grant funding, and they will not anticipate any increase in textbook rental fees. So if there's not an increase and we're having this federal grant money, are we still charging rental fees for these books?
Yes.
Yeah, because the books are more expensive than they were last time they had rental fees, but the rental fees aren't gonna go up because it's gonna be subsidized out here.
And you always have another round of textbooks you have to purchase.
Every year we have a specific content area. Our next one, which is a big one, is mathematics, and it will be a K through 12 adoption. So it's going to be upwards of well over $1 million.
Yeah.
Math doesn't even need books.
WJH doesn't necessarily need books, but they can still pay book fees.
Well, there's a difference between rental fees and, what's the other fee called? Course fees.
Fees, yeah.
Activity fees.
Yeah, because I paid all those fees, and you have to have my own camera, my own tapes.
Wait, you're on tapes, what year did you take that?
2000. We were the first to have digital when I graduated.
Oh, wow, look at you, showing your age.
Yeah.
One of the reasons we can use the CARES Act funding is because of the online component of our textbooks, the digital piece, which most teachers use now. That, you know, we've gone to more of just a class set with the online codes for students.
Which is, as a classroom teacher, that's really, really nice. I know we fought the whole class set, for a while because every kid, but now that you pay rental fees for, the online book, it's nice to have, that the kids have that option.
But what a lot of people don't realize, a lot of parents don't realize, is the online textbook cost is not less than.
No, it's not, it's great.
The-
You would think it would be because how much money does it take?
You would think, but it's
Turn it
not.
to a PDF.
Yeah,
But yeah.
It's still about the same cost
Yeah,
as far as.
because all that ADA goes into it, right?
Yeah.
Making it just accessible to all kids of all levels of abilities and disabilities.
Well, and just a reminder, it's one of those things we could advocate for. Indiana is one of only 8 states in the country that require parents to rent textbooks. In all the other states, they're already purchased by the state, and parents don't have to rent them or pay what our parents have to. I think it's 8. I think it's still, we're one of 8 states that still do textbook rental.
Hanging on to that.
Yeah. You would think at some point the state legislature would address that and take care of that, but.
Thank you.
All right, all those in favor of the world language textbook adoption, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next item we have is the Providence Professional Development Contract.
Yes, Board, as you know, Greater Park County Schools serves as a local education agency for federal grant funding. This happens to come out of Title II, and so we, as that representative, have to handle all of their fund expenditures, and that's why I have to bring this before you tonight. But they have, Providence High has requested to do a professional development contract work through the company Mastery Prep. Their plan is to strengthen post-secondary academic preparations by creating programs that both support and implement the new graduation pathways. The intervention will align instructional and assessment practices. Mastery Prep is going to hold an in-person PD this summer, and then they will continue with training on SAT practices that will embed those into their instruction. As the LEA, we must approve this contract and will pay for the services out of the federal grant funding for non-pub equitable share allocated to the school upon completion of the work. The cost is $11,290 for this contract.
Board, do I have a motion for the approval of the contract?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the Providence PD contract through the federal grant.
Thank you, Ms. Fitzpatrick. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any comments or concerns, questions?
Not with this one, but, because it's a specific, thing that they're doing.
when we have, professional development, are we still inviting other schools and are they inviting us when it's like a, like,
Well, this year we haven't had
Right,
any
right.
group settings, but we do that. I mean, we include them, I mean, as part of being that LEA consultation process, we do that. Also, you know, when we do large PDs, we've coupled with other districts, and certainly if it's something we're paying for at the per cost, we'll invite other districts to help offset that
Yes.
cost, so
It was
absolutely.
early last year when Dave Nagel was
Yeah,
here, we had
right,
some
New Albany.
New Albany administrators come in, I think even, West Clark at the time, now Silver Creek, Henryville Board, but yes.
Yeah, we try to be very, economical.
All those in favor of approving the professional development contract with Providence, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, let's move right along here. Parkwood Targeted School Support.
Yes, Board, we've developed a leadership academy in our district to provide ongoing professional development and to build capacity and optimize levels of teaching and learning in the district. We've specifically focused on our IDOE targeted schools within the district. So this agreement will be a continuation of leadership support and programming at Parkwood this summer with Dr. Dewey Hensley. The focus of these 3 days will be to analyze student data and develop an effective plan for professional development and student achievement as it relates to their Indiana School Improvement Plan. The work will have components aimed to support systems which increase achievement, a professional culture of collaboration, and informed decision-making. The overarching goal is leveraging leadership to change the trajectories of children's lives. Dewey Hensley has agreed to work at the same daily rate as he has in past years of $1,500 a day, totaling $4,500 plus prep time travel expenses. This support will be paid out of federal grant funding, and Ms. Geltmaker has reviewed the contract.
Board, do I have a motion for the agreement with Dr. Dewey Hensley?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the contract with Mr. Hensley for the Parkwood Targeted School Support.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Any comments, questions for Dr. Hartledge? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. The next would be the clinical affiliation agreement between Community Medical Associates and Great Clark County Schools. Dr. Hartledge?
Yes, we are proud to have this ongoing partnership with Norton Healthcare and Jeffersonville High School with their students enrolled in the medical assisting program. This would afford them the opportunity to participate in clinical experiences, and those experiences will provide them on-the-job experience and will be provided through Community Medical Associates, which owns and operates a variety of physician practices and urgent care centers known as Norton Immediate Care Centers. This agreement has been reviewed by Ms. Geltmaker.
Board, do I have a motion for the approval of the clinical affiliation?
Mr. President, I recommend that we approve the clinical affiliation agreement between Community Medical Associates and Greater Clark County Schools.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. Do you all have any questions or comments for Dr. Hartledge?
I think it's great because I know when you try to get a job after, having a degree or certification, they want you to have experience. And you're like, well, if no one gives me a job, how can I get any experience? So it's great that kids are getting that on-the-job experience, not just on-the-job, but training or experience that they can say, I, worked in a center or whatever.
And it affirms that it's a good fit for them and
Yeah, if I, at first I was really not sure about like the whole academies thing, because I thought we were stealing childhood. But then I reflected, if I haven't had that, I probably would have had like a lot of my 20s back, because I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what I want to do.
Well, this particular field is woefully understaffed, so
Yeah.
it's a great field. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okey-doke, we'll move on. Item number 9, the appointment of library board representative.
Yes, Board, Mr. James Davis, who has served as one of Greater Clark's representatives on the library board, has decided not to complete his term. His term would have ended on March 22nd, 2023. In replacing him, I'm making the recommendation that Ms. Debbie Meredith finish out his term and replace him on the library board.
All right, board, do I have a motion for the replacement of James Davis by Ms. Debbie Meredith for the library board representative?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the appointment of replacement.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any questions, comments, concerns? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All righty, we're moving on to our, the next set of component here of public comments. I believe we have one.
The old regular, right? Well, you don't set that for me.
I wanted to set it for Ms.
Evening board, I don't have very much time, so I'm gonna get right down to it. And I wrote a speech for tonight, but so much has happened in the course of one day, I just tore it up and wrote a couple little things so I don't forget everything I'm gonna say. As all of you are probably aware, before I do that, thank you. Thanks for the job you do, because I know it is a thankless job. Thanks. And Mr. Lofton, I want to thank you for pulling this agenda from the agenda tonight. I'm talking about our employee health clinic. As you know, we're experiencing some changes, and I'm sure everyone here tonight has received a ton of emails regarding this, text messages, you name it. I'm right there with you. It's a very disruptive situation. We worked hard to convince all of our members to join this clinic, to keep our insurance rates lower, and it has proven to be effective. It's an effective model. It has been working. Unfortunately, today, wasn't today, Friday, Proactive decided that Dr. Fur would be no longer part of their team. That has so many of our members upset at this point that I can't even begin to express it. There are a lot of people that love that guy. Now, what we gotta do now, since that ship has sailed, is find some way to prove to our members that we can make this clinic work without Dr. Fur. Now, the only way I can see doing that is we hold Proactive to the fire on everything they've promised us. Now, I've heard all the conspiracy theories about Mr. Loeffner and all the administration and everything else, and I find no merit in them. Mr. Loeffner, I don't know that he's ever lied to me. I don't. Now, we don't always agree. In fact, a lot of times we don't agree. But I can't say that the man's ever lied to me. So let's put the rumor mill away for a minute and the social media and all the negativity. But what we gotta do right now is hold Proactive to the standards that they promote for themselves. And I've actually talked to Dr. Patel, I've talked to John Collier, the CEO, and they've promised us a lot. Now tonight you pulled this from the agenda, and I applaud you guys for that. Thank you. You need to step back and let's see if they're gonna deliver on everything before you sign off on this contract. We're not in that big of a hurry. Now, I know the administration would like to get it done, put it behind them and move on, turn the page. But I would give this time to make sure that they come through on all their promises. And I've been assured that there won't be disruption of service, that people will get their prescriptions, and they will get them on time, and that within 60 or 90 days, we're gonna have a permanent doctor here, and that we will be part of the process in choosing that doctor. So, I would like very much for you guys to not rush into this. They want to throw it back on the agenda in 2 weeks. They're going to ask you to. Then you're forced to vote. Wait and see. Let's wait and see. Give it a month. Give it more than that if you have to. We don't have to make this decision until August. We have to be 60 days out, so it's going to have to be in the first 2 weeks of August. Let's wait and see how they perform before we jump onto something that we may regret later. And that's really all I had to say right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark Felix, I appreciate that. Next item up here would be, board comments. Mr. Hawkins?
Well, I'd like to thank Mr. Felix for bringing up probably a touchy subject, as everybody that's maybe watching this knows. And I think that I would say that right now, from what I understand, I agree with Mr. Felix. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Ms. Hutchinson?
I want to say, as this week is the last week of school, kids' last day is Thursday, teacher last day is Friday, I think, or Friday or Monday. And I am so proud of our district. I know it was a struggle. I know teachers struggled and administrators struggled and kids and parents. But I'm so proud of us and that we were able to survive this year.
Mr. Paul?
Nothing.
Mr. Freeman?
I just echo what Katie said. Like, I'm so glad that this is the last week of school. I know everybody's ready to get out now that things are opening back up, get the swing of the summer. I just still caution everybody to be safe. We're still in a pandemic. I'm not gonna tell you exactly what to do, but just hope that you are keeping your family and your students as safe as you can.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Ms. Fitzpatrick, would you have a kind word for your group?
A kind word? Oh, well, never mind
You
then.
can't say something nice.
I know, you're right. No, thanks, Mr. Felix. And, you know, I think that's one of the reasons it's not on the agenda. We need to watch. And when we have experience with the company, who's been running our clinic for a while, it's very, very unfortunate what has happened. And, you know, hopefully, as we watch what they do, people will also possibly give a new staff a chance as well, before they go, you know, running off somewhere else. Because if anybody who's ever gone there and seen the staff there was the first time that they did that and took a chance. So I hope people will do that again.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes, again, thank you, Mark, for those comments. I think we all have to work on this together. And the fact that what Janelle just said about there's always a first time, to me, I see this as a great benefit for our staff. And I know that from all the emails we've all gotten, and phone calls, it is a huge disappointment that Dr. Berg has left, or is going. But I appreciate your comments. One other thing I'd like to say is that the Champions for Children gala that we had Thursday night was fantastic. I'd like to congratulate all of the recipients of the awards, and it was great fun. And if you haven't seen it, I'm going to talk about another school corporation. If you haven't seen it, the We Are the World YouTube done by the Clarksville Elementary School is pretty special, and it sends a great message right now.
Well, you know, we started this school year and it seems like just way behind in terms of what people thought we should do, what they, you know, there was all kinds of, gee, we shouldn't do this, we should do this. It seems like, I think the board, the cabinet, the teachers, a lot of people were under attack, you know, for what everybody thought we should and shouldn't do. I feel like we've really put a lot of positive energy into this year. I feel like there's been a lot of really good things that have happened in spite of all the crazy things that were totally circumstances outside of our control. We did most everything right we could possibly do. And if we didn't, we learned from what we didn't do correctly. I have to go back and, applaud Central Office for all the work they did, for all the listening they did, for all the things that they put out there that they didn't really have to put out there. I have to go first, certainly back to the teachers and say, thank you for being so flexible, for putting up with I don't knows, the parent calls, the crazy things that they had to feel. There is no class for that college. There is no class for that teacher college. We made a bunch of arrangements, a bunch of adjustments, things that were the best foundationally, financially for this corporation in terms of our auxiliary services, our custodial, and I really want to thank those people, whether they're still here with us or not, for doing the best they can to listen. Those that left, I wish them the best. There's some really good friends of mine that left. There's some really good friends of mine that are still here. But I think the nucleus of this corporation is doing 100% or 110% for the kids and the people. And we gotta remember that. We're so far out there sometimes with one decision or another that we lose focus. We're trying to put our arms around everybody, and it's really difficult to do. Finally, I want to say to Ms. Markowski, thank you very much for all the hard work that you put in and the setting up and doing all this stuff for all these board meetings and for making the school year, as wonderful as it could possibly be. We really appreciate that, and I know you don't, get much thank yous, and I appreciate you very much. Sorry, I'm talking too much, Mr. Locke.
I'm sorry, I won't talk as long as time. I just want to thank our students, staff, parents, community for navigating their way through a unique school year. I did an interview with one of the news stations the other day, or yesterday, I guess it was, and they asked me, my thoughts on the school year. The one thing that I have to say is, I thought we had a very successful school year, and that's because our staff did a great job handling this situation. So I think it's been a great school year. We've learned a lot of things that we can grow from. Looking forward to next year. Also, just a reminder, all the building and winners for Champions for Children will be celebrated Friday morning at a breakfast at the Better Center. So I want to publicly congratulate all the building winners that were selected by their colleagues and peers at their individual schools for being, Teacher of the Year and Classified Staff of the Year. So congratulations to them.
Thank you. Any other comments? No?
Mr. Walker cannot be here, so when I be with him, because his mother-in-law has to work.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we're sorry.
Thank you.
would you think, Mr. Walker,
Thank
to be in the school this school year? Don't you?
Board, do I have a motion for adjournment?
I move the adjourn.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Patrick. Any comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Don't think so.
We're out.